Hello there, I'm Mike Creevy for Homeschool Connections, and with me today is Olivia Jones, Homeschool Connections instructor, I should say. Olivia, welcome.
Thank you. Glad to be here.
Well, tell us all a little bit about the courses that you teach here at Homeschool Connections.
Yeah, I'm about to teach two courses. One is Intro to Latin, Beginning Latin for middle school, and the other one is Beginning Latin for grade school. The middle school course is actually a master course planned and taught by Emily Henry, but then she's just hired me to teach one of those sections. So I am
Okay.
super excited to join into her work. I've been going over the course with her, and it's been very fun so far. And then
Yeah.
the other one is one that's of my design. It's for the grade school level. And that both of them are very much geared toward people who have never studied Latin before, just getting students to have fun with the language, have a good first experience, and hopefully spark a love that will turn into years of study or,
Sure.
whatever really they need. But we love Latin, so that's our hope.
Well, that's a necessary, I think, ingredient for someone to really be a good teacher, right? Is this passion for their subject, and that
Yeah.
is probably as good a reason as any to ask you. So, like, where did this love come from for Latin? What's your own sort of background
Yeah.
set you up here to be able to explore?
Yeah, I was forced to take it in elementary school and high school, but I fell in love with it in college. So in college, I got to join an immersion program. I went
Hmm.
to Wyoming Catholic College. And so what that looked like, it was 2 years of classes where we went into the classroom and there was almost zero English, like very occasionally
Wow.
there would be, a break, anglice breviter, and the teacher would explain something more difficult or just make sure people knew what was going on. But yeah, most of it was not in English. It was just, using interactions that we had with the teacher, interactions with each other, visual aids, things like that. There was a stuffed animal, several stuffed animals that we would use to help us get things, really creative props and such. And
Oh,
that really made the language come alive because it was a language. I was actually using it to communicate. So,
right.
yeah, that for 2 years. And then after that, it was optional, and I continued to study it and really delve into reading Latin works. So, we
Hmm.
would basically have a book club in Latin, and I
Sure.
did that for another 2 years. And then I also volunteered to be on 2 week-long immersion trips where we get about like 12 students and a couple professors, and we go out to either like the Utah desert or maybe like a Wyoming canyon and just be our own speaking community for
Wow.
about a week. And it was quite fun. And I don't know, there's something about learning a foreign language that helps you know yourself better. I
Sure.
think we don't realize how much of how we think and see the world is like tied up with the way that we speak, and so
Right.
it gives you a whole new perspective and reset when you learn a foreign language.
Sure.
It's
I had
quite fun.
a friend who was a native Greek speaker who was explaining, and I only ever spoke to them in English, but they were talking about how they still dream, they dream in Greek,
Yeah,
and it is an amazing, important thing that it's, I think it's easy, probably, would you agree that it's easy to maybe just kind of put Latin or any language really, but Latin in this case, into this box where it's like, what can I use it for? And
yeah,
have this kind of functional approach. But it sounds
yeah,
like you're looking beyond that and trying to help your students maybe cultivate that love for this language
yeah.
itself.
Just their experience of it is something that they enjoy, like
Mm,
whether or not they use it to become a lawyer or like a great biologist who knows all these Latin terms. Yeah,
right.
they just enjoy it for its own sake first.
Wow. Well, and what happens in your classes themselves, or things maybe you have planned for this year, as far as you can't take your homeschool connection students, of course, out into the wilderness, that kind of thing. But do you have ways of trying to maybe duplicate or attempt to introduce some of those same
Yeah,
wonderful mechanisms, into your
right.
classes?
Sure. So what we do have online is we still have me, and so they can still have interactions, and I can still give them interactions in the language, and also we have all the visual aids. So basically, the way that I start is you use a map because you can pretty much everyone is familiar with how a map works. And so you can look at a map and you can be like, okay, that's a river. But instead of saying that's a river, I'd say fluvius, right? And then we can move to an island and be like insula. And so we can start with very basic concepts that you can easily recognize visually without any language, and then build a vocabulary framework from there. And we can also use later on, we can use cartoons to, describe interactions between people and show them what's going on. And of course, we can clarify in English and break into English whenever there's confusion, but we try and keep it out of there as much as possible.
Sure. And does, I know Ecclesiastical Latin is something that you're interested in as well and
Yeah.
pursuing. And is there any, I'm just curious, any kind of direct faith connection with this? Or, certainly it's of course important language
Yeah.
from the Catholic
You
perspective.
mean in the course or for me?
Yeah, well, both, yeah.
Okay. Yeah, in the course, we also learn brief Latin prayers. And so we learn the Glory Be and the sign of the cross. And
Okay.
then it depends. If that's like super easy for the students, I might add more, but that's what my goal is right now.
Okay.
And then, yeah, personally, I mean, there's so much there's so much great literature that is primarily in Latin, both as a Catholic, but also just as a lover of the classics.
Mm-hmm.
So many great minds, that was their educated language. And so that's what they wrote in order to be able to be universal and taught throughout the Western world. So,
Right.
yeah, it's a great way of connecting yourself directly with Western civilization. Like,
Absolutely.
Augustine, Aquinas, all the papal encyclicals, church fathers.
Right.
Yeah, there's so much to be had in the Latin language.
Well, it sounds really exciting. And is there anything else you want to share with how students or parents could learn more? Anything else that they want to check out and learn more about your courses moving forward?
Yeah, I'm going to direct them to the Homeschool Connections database, but then I also have a quick, fun little story I wanted to add.
Sure,
too.
please.
So in terms of finding more about the course, go to homeschoolconnections.com and click on courses, and then you can either go to middle school or grade school, depending on what you're interested in. And it should pop up on the page. You'll be able to find it fairly easily. The quick little story is I actually got married last year, and my husband and I went to Italy on a honeymoon, and we didn't speak Italian. And we ran into this priest who didn't speak anything but Italian or French. We don't know those languages. So we were kind of up a creek without a paddle. But then I got a brilliant idea because I knew he was a lover of the Latin Mass. And so I said, "Tu dices Latine?" And he said, "Speak." So even though it's called a dead language, we spent probably 5 hours with this priest in Italy, just going back and forth, and we were able to have conversations and build a friendship. It was quite wonderful.
I'm going to share that story with friends of mine who are naysayers, by the way. So.
Oh, wonderful. Yeah, no, Latin communities are coming back. There's growing speaking communities for sure.
Wow. Well, Olivia Jones, thank you so much here for stopping by today and for telling us about your courses for Homeschool Connections. So God bless you.
Thank you. Have a good day.
You too.